in right away, within within a year or so. So it's been. Check, check, check.
I hear you. I hear my.
Maybe that'll be for sales. If you don't want to buy a house. So where are you? Oh, yeah, I saw this mom. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It kind of states our purpose and why we're here today. When I call your address forward or address you're here to represent, if you would please come forward to the table. You're welcome to have a seat. Give us your name and the address and state your case, and we'll go from there. First thing on our agenda is the consent agenda from last month's meeting. Do I have a motion for that?
I motion to
Is there a second?
Mike said, go ahead.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, we'll say that's approved. And move on to new business. The first item today is 712 Hancock Street. Do we have- So perhaps we'll move that to the end and see if they show. Next on the agenda is 117 Madison Street.
Good afternoon. Sean of 170 Madison Street. And with me is our neighbor and contractor Randy First, also of Garnsville, and proposing to replace our wooden slats on our front and back porches due to extensive water damage over the years. Which I believe the front porch being in like kind, same size, was administratively approved. But the two items before the commission today is the installation of new handrails on the front porch in a wooden style designed to match the pillars along the front porch pillars, and then the replacement of the back porch wooden floor slats, which would be a reduction of size. For the back porch, currently it has, I think, 5 inches width, and proposals to replace them with the same 2¼ inch that we are replacing the front with.
Looks like it's probably time.
Yes.
Yeah, those columns are getting lower. The floor is rotting totally under, but he's fixed the roof problems already. So it won't happen again quickly, at
Start
least.
the top.
Yeah. Yeah, earlier in the spring, we had submitted a request and it was approved for just a proofing coating for the balconies, because that's where we had water damage leaking down into the porches below, and that has been sealed and no more water damage coming from the balconies. So now it's time to actually replace the porches, to restore them to their beauty.
Do we have a motion? Any discussion? Any questions?
Looks good to me.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pretty smooth. Thank you for your time and good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for your help.
Next on our agenda is the request of the FARR, F-A-R-R-R Foundation to repair the soffit and paint at 1310 Church Street. Afternoon.
My name is Martha Brown. I'm the one that submitted the paperwork for this request.
Finney Matthew from the FAR Foundation.
If you would, please give us an overview. I know it's kind of broad in scope, what you would like to do.
Yes, so we're running into some of the same similar issues. Our soffit is rotting and it's wooden, so we have a desire to get all of that repaired. And while we're doing it, we thought this would be a good time to go on ahead and just put a fresh coat of paint on the building. And so we went through a couple of different design processes, and we found these historical colors from Sherwin-Williams that we thought would look, just really popping to the street. Again, this is my sketching, so I didn't have a consultant design that. I kind of did it with my Canva, but you can kind of get the general idea of how we want to paint the window seals, the soffit, and then the brick would be, the nice sea serpent. The uppermost fascia, which would be the very top over just before you get to the roof line, would be the forest wood. But we wanted to do the accent borders around the windows with that real pretty burgundy red. So you can kind of see what it looks like now. The roof would stay the same. We're not changing that other than just the soffit repair and trying to push. You see the back of the building has never been painted. So we would, paint it all the way to the back wall.
The unpainted portion as well, you're saying?
Yep, yeah, we would take it all the way to the back of the property on both sides. So you would see if you go up the hill, you'll notice that, a portion of the building has been painted and a portion has not been painted. So the rear of the building, it's got that, we don't plan to paint that, but we definitely want to make sure the sides are painted.
So I'm not an expert on that. We've had lots of discussion on prior applications on painting and non-painting and the right way, et cetera. Do you have a painter doing this, or are you all doing it?
Now we have a painter.
Has he, I assume he's looked at what his surface is and what he's working with and offered you the best?
Yes. Yes, he has.
Not latex paint, something that would breathe and et cetera.
Correct.
1869.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
In the very back portion, that looks like it's added on. Do you know how old that portion is?
The back, if you look to the left of the building, so going to the left, from the main window, that's the original house. And the back was all porches. These were all double-decker porches. The front porch disappeared a long time ago. Maybe it was in a fire. There used to be, an outlook in the roof line. So somebody over the last, I would say 70 or 80 years, they enclosed the back porches and turned them into sunrooms and hallways. We converted the downstairs sunroom into a kitchen. So it's, got a sink and a stove and an island. It's, quite functional. Then the upstairs is still just a sunroom. There's no, there's no central climate control. So it gets very humid in the summertime, very cold in the wintertime. The other side of the building was added on, I think it was added on around in the 1920s. There was a fire in the townhomes just, up the hill. And that fire caught a portion of this house on fire. And that's what took out the outlook tower that used to sit on top of the roof line. And as a result, they decided to go on ahead and add on to the house. Then they redid Church Street. So way down over to in front of the blue car, that's the old horse and buggy house. It's a private residence that was annexed by the previous owner before Mr. Matthew purchased the property. And it's now a shared courtyard. But that courtyard and that driveway is the original Church Street. So we've got this wall that the city put in, and they buried the entire first floor of the building in dirt and concrete. So our second floor became our first floor. And if you go into our basement and you look, you can still see the casing of where the front door used to be and the windows. But, it just looks like a bomb shelter now.
I think he's trying to tell you, we got a lot of history in that building. So,
So, what we've tried to do is, internally, we've got central heating and air conditioning on I like to call it, the West Wing. It's very climate controlled over there, and we have, a nice little running clinic, and we have, real important community healthcare services there. The other side of the building, which is the original house, that's where we have our offices. We still don't have climate control. We have window units and big fireplaces, but it works. And then the middle, we just, that's just kind of an open area for our staff and for our guests that visit the lighthouse. It's a real nice reception area. And we have the real nice brick wall that was added on, I guess, by the city once, they kind of, buried the first floor. And so you can see where there was, there's shadows of what used to be doors and closets and transom windows, and now they're all cut off, and you still have the light, but the door's gone, or it's a bookcase now. And so we've done what we can, but we're really starting to see significant water problems with the soffits, and it's, coming in right there by the door, going into the brick and into the wall. So on the inside of the building, we've got drywall damage where it's starting to bubble up, and plaster that's starting to break apart. So we really need to, I guess, take all that stuff off, and we got to seal it and, really, treat it nicely. We also, with your permission, we submitted an application to put up awnings over our front doors. And we have the lights that we took down earlier this year. We've delayed the awnings because we wanted to get the building painted first. But Bill from Central Virginia Awning has them, and he said he'll just put them up when we tell him. But we just said, let's wait till we get the building painted and get all of that approved first. And then the awnings, we believe, will also help with some of the, the downpour that happens, beside these wooden front door frames that are becoming really, really fragile.
Is this the building that has an off-street parking on the left front of the wing?
Yes, actually, it is a handicap spot and it's got a pole in the middle of it. I think what happened is down in the basement, there's an old, there's a slanted floor where they used to bring in the coal. And that's how they used to heat the building. So that door is still there and the little, slanted ramp is still there. But, it's not functional anymore. So what we did was we put in a generator back there and we have the HVAC unit also in that alleyway, but it's not a parking spot.
On my attorney's office, it's fine, you're gonna repair as it is, not going to say, we're gonna close off the Haven gutters, right? You're gonna do.
No, we're gonna
exactly
keep-
what's there to
Mhm.
repair that. The
Yeah.
colors, I think, are fine. Old brick, the guidelines say we should not paint old brick if it hasn't already been painted. Old brick doesn't like to be painted, and old brick has to be repainted. Is there a reason why you really feel you have to paint the stuff that's not painted yet? I mean, repainting what's already painted is fine. Could you just let the other part go? That is kind of where the guidelines are.
So you're suggesting we leave the back part natural
Yeah.
and just do what's currently covered?
It's gonna give you a lot less work over the years, for
Well,
sure, and
I
that's
mean-
where the guidelines are.
We could do that if it saves us money. Yeah, we're okay
We
with that.
we just wanted to make it, a complete package rather than doing half. But if you're saying that you don't want us to do that,
You go back to the folks now.
Yeah, or the painting just the core and then leaving the additions a different color. I think that actually would do better for the building appearance wise, kind of separating those periods out.
I mean, we can do that.
we are 100% open to it.
What kind of paint are you using? You're using,
You mean like what,
like what type? Is it a? So you said it's not latex, but
oh, well, I was gonna leave that up to our painter, he's got an account with Sherwin-Williams, he knows that these are exterior paint colors that we have to choose for brick, so. He hasn't bought anything yet because I needed to get this approved, but I can follow up with you or if you all have a recommendation on what he should buy, I can tell him, what.
yeah, at minimum, I can say latex you don't want. I don't know how well silicate paints do over other paints. But silicate paint, it's like silicates. It's hard to describe, but it's good for masonry, but it is still a bit too hard for old brick. It carbonates a little harder, and so it can cause the brick to spall underneath of it. I mean, if it was decided you were going to paint the building at the back, I think silicate paint might be a little better for that. But like I said, leaving it unpainted, brick really prefers to be unpainted. But if your painter could look into silicate paint, like I said, I'm not an expert on it, but maybe if that would work because it can breathe. That's the other benefit. So whatever amount of the paint that's there is gone, and then if water does get behind it,
Okay.
any subsequent layers of paint, if you can make those breathable, it can only serve to help the brick.
I'm just making a note, so silicate paint is
Yeah, you should
recommended.
contact a professional painter to determine the age of the brick,
Okay.
condition of the mortar. There's, you have quite a few variables in there.
The type of
And,
paint that's already on it and how to treat it.
And,
According to our guidelines, are they required to submit the type or is it up to the painter to determine based on what's on this?
But if you definitely have a suggestion on the best type that we can use, then, I mean, it's been, almost a decade? Yeah, it's been used since.
along with their diverse and historical aged, buildings. So they have some unique and novel, characteristics for the brick and whatever was used, the
You
more
mentioned
top
awnings.
corner, so, yeah.
You mentioned awnings. That goes here.
No, this was from a previous application.
Okay.
We had received a grant to put awnings on the front of the house. And I just didn't want you guys to think that we had neglected that. We were just making sure that when we put them up, it was the final piece to the, what we were doing to the front of the building. Yeah, you all approved it. Yeah, yep, so, yeah, we went through that process and we had our electrician take down the light fixtures and we have those preserved. So now we just wanna, we have like a little motion light that's kind of there temporarily, but we want to be able to get the awnings. We just couldn't keep the lights because they're so big. The awnings could not, they kept, in order to make the awnings fit around the lights, we kept bumping into the wall, you know, the bump out where, you know, the centerpiece of the building, it was all off and out of, you know, just out of, it just wasn't kosher. So we were like, this isn't, you know, we can't keep the lights. So that's it.
So with the soffits, have you had your box gutters or built-in gutters looked at on the roof?
Yes, yeah, it
We
was,
looked at by, I think it was Flint.
no, both, yeah.
We had this was a couple of years ago. He came out and just kind of gave us an estimate for a new roof and a whole new gutter system. And I mean, you're talking six figures. And so we were like, well, that's gonna have to, you know, go to like a preservation grant or something. But in the meantime, you know, what can we do to still preserve what we have? So we were able to meet with this other contractor that said he could help us with that. He's helping us with another property that we have that's nearly 100 years old in town. It's not a historical property, but those hidden gutters are kind of a thorn in your side if you're not constantly taking care of them.
So Eve, are we, for my own understanding, are we reviewing the hidden gutter repair as well, or just the soffit, which I believe is the casing on the bottom side?
Yep, just the soffit and the paint colors at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, we put that other big project to the side. That was it.
I'm probably stating the obvious, but if you don't fix the water, you put something new on it, it's bound to happen again, left
Mhm.
unattended.
Oh, I know, that's what happened over at the other house.
Okay.
So we're aware that we've got to do something long-term, but the contractor we're working with he's an expert in what would you say, water damage?
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah.
historical buildings.
Yeah,
dealing with this.
so
Rubberized that you can put inside the gutters. You might really want to consider doing that to fix the leaks, because again, so you don't have to soffit again in half a dozen years or 10 years. They are repairable. They are a constant issue, however. But I would think Michael's recommendation of repairing those now, because you're just going to spend money on that wood underneath and have to do it again. We can't make you do that now.
Right, just advice.
That's
Yeah,
just advice.
can you share that information with us?
Do you know? Is that what it's called? There you go. And it's sort of this rubberized product that you line the old gutters, whatever they're made out of, copper or aluminum or steel or iron or whatever they're made of up there, different eras. And if you solve that problem, that should solve the water problem. As long as you keep the leaves out, but it doesn't look like you have any trees around there. So, but the leaves will find a way. But I would fix that, because you just will relieve yourself of a headache down the road and money spent.
EPDM. Yeah, it's a rubberized material.
Again, for clarification, if they go that route, do they need to submit that to you? Can you approve that administratively?
It would depend on what exactly the proposal was, but it could most likely be administrative.
So I guess do your research if that's the route you want to go. It is a separate application, but as you heard from Eves, you can, depending on what route you go, perhaps approve it administratively, not bring you back here again.
okay.
And you're already saving money by not painting the unpainted part. So there you go. So you can use some of that money to maybe to fix the gutters, so.
So do I have, if there's further discussion, we can go there too. If we're ready to lay a motion on the table.
So just painting to back to the portion that's already painted and leaving the unpainted portion unpainted
Okay,
and approving the colors and the repairs.
all right, thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, your motion passes.
All right.
Good luck and thank
Thank
you
you so
for
much.
coming here. All right, next on the agenda is the request of the Pierce Street Gateway to do extensive work at 1301 Pierce Street. Nice. Good afternoon and welcome back.
Good morning. Sorry.
Day flies.
Well, actually, we were in historic Charleston, which was lovely for a 35th wedding anniversary. So I just got back, so it's like morning after lots of fun. Yes, an hour ago. Anyhow, but it's wonderful to be here. My name is Lauren Dionish. I'm the architect for Pierce Street Gateway. And Pierce Street Gateway is the historic Callaway store. I think some of you have probably seen this photo. You can as well. So the Callaway store was one of the first, if not the first, Black-owned stores in town. It's an anchor to the Pierce Street Renaissance district. And I'm honored to be working with a very excellent group of people on this project. And back in 2021, we came to you and our intent was to work on an addition because the building was in such dire strait that we did not want any major activity happening in the building. We were going to put that in the addition. But as we all know, with construction prices, the addition ended up being, in today's dollars, 700 to 800,000. So we very quickly made the decision to reevaluate how our programming works. And so what we're coming to you today for is the addition is being replaced by a very simple outdoor pavilion. That allows us to do outdoor activities, and a huge amount of our work happens in the garden. What that does is we can get groups of like 25 youngsters or adults, and they can be outside learning the history rather than inside, because we do arts and crafts, we do all kinds of things to help them learn the history. So this little outside pavilion replaces the addition that we previously got approval for. It was all unanimously approved in 2021. So then that money, so we've got this little sucker happening, we hope, for about $62,000 as compared to 600,000. So then the money that we've been fundraising, because I'm also on the board, the money we've been fundraising for will go towards restoration of the building. I do want you to be aware of what we are dealing with. This is the building. The exterior.
Myself from any vote on this.
We've also had Travis McDonald serve on our board and Al Chambers, who were very helpful in our initial phases. And Eve is sharing a photo of, this is the siding before we repainted. And so I do need to set the stage for you that this building is in horrible repair. It has not been dealt with, any of the exterior has not been dealt with for minimum of 40 years. No paint was put on it for 40 years. The hidden gutters were covered over what looks to be 40 years ago. And the previous owner did do some interior renovations, but none of those protected the outside. They were adding electric, partial electric, and a little bit of plumbing, and that's it. And then a lot of like surface materials on the inside. So unfortunately, we're dealing with 40 or more years of neglect. So we did repaint the building 2 years ago so that at least it's covering that up. But you'll see one of the pictures. Boards missing beneath two clear story windows. That is where a raccoon got trapped inside the wall, came up through the foundation, got stuck in the wall, pushed the boards out, and then you see their hands going down. So we are really, in dire strait here. The good news is we have done our fundraising, but technically this project should cost the restoration. The typical cost of this restoration is 840,000, and we have 430,000. So we are trying to do everything we can to save this building and restore it, starting from the top down. So I thought what we could do is start with a pavilion, just to that's the new thing on the property. It's not attached. According to the guidelines in the state, the goal is for new structures to be in the right scale for the project and not overtake the project, but they are not supposed to be imitating, a building that has never been there. They're meant to represent their time. So this is our new little building. Now, normally, as you know, with a lot of pavilions, you would see an open gable end, but we felt like that inside would look more in keeping with the neighborhood and the scale of the neighborhood. And again, this will be all wood. It'll be a metal roof. And we just felt the metal roof really made sense because the existing building is a metal roof. Now, all of that length that you see with the lovely steps going up, that will just be grass. We will not, that is too costly. So that would add another 40,000. And so we're not going to do any of that. This will be just a simple pavilion in the backyard. I do want to say, as you come down Pierce Street and you come down, you're going past the building, you literally cannot see this pavilion. It's hidden behind the structure. It's tucked back. It's not right out on the street. And those pathways that you see, we're not asking permission for those today. We'll probably come back on that. The reason why is they are just wood chip at this point. So we'll come back another time and ask for the pathways, but they are simply wood chips, so it doesn't fall under any of the guidelines, because you don't ask for mulch beds either, and wood chip is about the same. So,
Is that the majority of the pavilion is not going to be located in the district. If you can see, give me 1 second. So this is the historic district, and the pavilion will be about here.
yes, correct.
So the majority of it does fall out of the district.
Is that a functioning fireplace or chimney?
Oh, no, that we will not add that. Sorry about that. It was
Okay.
in the rendering, and we didn't want to pay the renderers to do it again. So it will be no chimney whatsoever. It was going to be functioning. Would have been fun. Yeah, yeah, one day we might be able to do it someday. Yeah, so a little teeny corner of this is in historic, but basically it's in the non-historic section. So I can move on to the other work unless anyone has any questions about the pavilion.
Oh, back on that.
Yeah, I can point to where the
Well, that's,
8 square feet.
so it looks like it's 10% of it will be in historical, 15 or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
But in the guidelines, you are allowed to do outbuildings. if it's and it's got a nice pitched roof. So a lot of the pavilions that they make like this are made with very low roofs, or they're made with hip roofs that I feel look very much like a, kind of like a kit. And we'd like it to look more like what they might have put up many years ago, which would be a simple gable. Because when we looked through the neighborhood, we didn't see many outbuildings that had hip roofs. Because they're harder to build, they were all gables. So we stuck with a gable.
Are the posts, I hope I'm using the right word, on the
Yes.
pavilion, are those 4x4 or 6x6?
They are 6x6s.
Okay.
Yeah, wood, and they will be painted white like the rendering. And the roof will be kind of like a terratone dark brown to match the roof now, the metal roof that's up there now. Now, of course, the metal roof that's up there now is rusted beyond belief. And it's, as you see, it's not all metal. It's a lot of sheet asphalt that's been put over it. And they've also covered up all of the interior gutters or the integral gutters. And we did talk, so this is a project that we're going to DHR. So ultimately, they will have say over everything that we do. And they already said that because the gutters were covered over and they are not functioning now, that they are not asking us to replace those. So that's helpful because this roof is a $100,000 project, which is a significant project. And we do have one of the best roofers in town lined up to do the best historic roofers.
Do you have any documentation from DHR?
No, we've only done our first stage because we had to do our fundraising first to see what we could afford to do. And now I go back to the drawings and we turn in what will actually be done. We had originally intended to restore the second floor, but that's a good 350,000 and we don't programmatically need to restore the second floor. One thing we have done already is we were getting 20 gallons of water with inside the building in buckets that we've placed all over, and we were hand carrying those buckets out of the building after every rain, which this summer was quite a chore. We have rebuilt this roof because it was built with 2x4s, and we've rebuilt it with 2x12 so that it would not collapse. And we have put protective rain protection on that roof currently because of the huge amount of water coming in. It had dripped down and rotted through 2 floors in like 3 places. So this roof is in dire need. And it's so expensive because it is a funky roof. It's not a nice simple gable. It's not a nice simple hip. It has this, that, and the other. But we have to maintain this flattish portion for DHR because of it represents old porches that were filled in at one point. So we are respecting that and maintaining that. So then on the siding, so what I thought I'd do is just go from top down so that, and I just want to say when we were approved before, we weren't talking about the restoration as much. So this time we really are focused on the restoration, which I think is a wonderful change because rather than spend 600,000 on an addition, we'll be spending, right now we only have, like I said, about 430, but we hope to raise more. So on the siding, on the Pierce Street side, so this is Pierce Street and this is 13th. So on these 2 sides, we'd like to keep the original siding. On the front, we're not doing anything other than painting. I think just because of, looks, the people kept the front painted and that siding's in the best shape. But on the rest of it, it's pretty impossible. And this is the porch that we'll get to that in a minute. So this siding, our intent is to rebuild the historic porch, the 2-story historic porch, and then that will serve as scaffolding so we can do the siding more safely and less costly because we don't have to put up scaffolding. The siding here is just a weatherboard siding, so we will glean whatever original siding we can off of the back and replace it here so that when people go up and down the street, this corner is very important. We want this to look as original as we possibly can. And I don't think we put it in our request because I don't think it requires approval. We are reglazing and repainting all the windows, so we're not coming in asking for Pella or Marvin or something like that. We are taking the original windows and we're restoring those. And that way this looks old and, or, you know, original to what was done back in the 1880s. On the back side, and like I said, this little section, used to be a porch. You can see it. In any case, this siding is the worst because it was snapping off. It was really bad. This siding's pretty good, so we can just restore this. But here, and the, you know, the backyard, this whole face and this, the siding is more than 50% shot. It is just gone. And so what we would like to do, because the building has no sheathing and no weather barrier, we'd like to pull the siding off there, put sheathing on, put a weather barrier, and then re-side using a hardy siding on just these two sides. And this does get the most weather. So that would help us to have something that withstands weather a little more. So that is the request on the siding aspect. All window trim stays as is or is repaired. All windows stay as is or are being repaired. I mean, there's some that are just broken out, and so we'll rebuild the window to exactly match. The windows are almost all consistent through the building, almost the same size everywhere. So it's easy to replicate a historic window.
She need to submit all these items to itemize all these items.
The application.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
broken it down into 5 main items. So work to the storefront, reconstruct a 2-story porch on the west, shown on the west elevation, construct a pole barn pavilion at the rear, other work to the property. I thought you were applying for the brick walkways, but we can take that out if that's not.
Oh, okay.
And then other work to the structure, including the windows, the siding, metal roof, and gutters.
Yeah, and I could keep the brick walkways in.
Is that the layout that you wanted?
Yeah, it is the layout. It's honestly, I took them out only because we don't have a donor for it yet, so we're trying to use our money wisely. But if we don't install them in 2 years or whatever, 6 months pass, we can always come back and
Right.
get it renewed.
Right.
if
So
possible.
if we want to break this out into the 5 votes, that would probably be the best way to handle this.
And I can start back up on number 1 now. So if you see that historic photo of the building, that's what we have to go.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. That's what we have to go on. So if you look at our elevation, the north elevation on sheet A 2. You know, that storefront, exactly. Now, we don't have any of those labels, so we can't restore them. But this is using that photo and all the proportions. And so we are using color windows for that because they have the nicest glazing line. It looks as most like the windows are in the building. And we're going to, of course, repair the metal roof above it. And we actually were really excited. Last year, we pulled off the boarded up siding and found historic doors. So now we have restored the doors, not perfectly, but enough to put them back in place. So the historic doors will be there and the windows will be new. And now it will actually look like a storefront versus a boarded up building. So, and the thing that I don't think we need approval for is we do have a mason who will be restoring all of the foundation. The foundation needs to be completely repointed. And we need to add additional piers under there. It's undersized. Last week, 3 people were all in one place and the building was moving a little bit. So all of that will be refurbished in this project. But that's out of sight, so it's a structural kind of hidden thing that will be taken care of. So storefront, so that's our item number 1. Any questions about that? And again, I do want to say all of this has to go to DHR. We've only done our initial application, but we did have a very productive phone meeting with them to make sure they didn't have any concerns. And, you know, the only thing they had a concern on was a porch that we didn't have documentation for, which we're not in this application because we don't have documentation for it. So we're not presenting that at this time, and we don't have the funds for it.
So this includes what looks like a fabric that's all been rebuilt.
Yeah, it's all new 2x4s and 2x6s in there. The previous owner put that in. I actually found a photo just recently. It was all bricked up at one point. So the previous owner was nice enough to pull the brick down. And so they followed the old shape of it, but it's just OSB board with loads of holes. So there's nothing new in there. But inside, we see all of the existing roof that proves that it was an existing porch on the building before they made it a storefront, which, as we all keep hearing, porches always get filled in and turned into something else. So I think this was was Mr. and Mrs. Callaway's home. And then when they decided to become a grocery, you can see it's definitely a porch roof in there. And then our historic photo proves that they put storefront windows in there. So it'll look beautiful and transparent and light filled once we're done with the storefront windows. And they turn the corner too. So the minute you go off of 12th Street and turn down, you're going to be able to see our storefront lit up, which will be really beautiful. And it's depressing now, of course, but once it's transparent and lit and it kind of glows from afar, especially at night, it'll be very nice addition to the neighborhood to have it back looking like it's supposed to. Okay, so then we can move to the 2-story porch. So you saw in that historic photo so right now we don't have a porch, but the ghost of it's there, all of the ghosting of the structure you can see on the side. And the historic photo does show the porch, even though it looks like it maybe had different, I think I would feel like I was walking up and down that. We will make it level. Yes, one customer. So we will make it level, and when we got this approved on the board, they did ask us, like, we all have this kind of non-code compliant railing, and the gentleman from JMW, actually, he's from Emmett, he said earlier input. Code compliant railing, and we came for application to show us the code compliant, very simple railing. This does not meet code, so we just don't want to go back to that. And DHR did not have a problem with that. So we know they didn't want people slipping through the railings. So the rendering showed the porch fairly well. The only difference is, again, because of code and the slope of the street, we did add 2 sections of railing to it because of the slope. You get to a certain point where you've got to have some railing there. So you see the 2 sections, but in that other part, you see the slope of the street, so we don't have to worry about that. We also met with Tom Gertie of Gertie Construction about the base, and we had originally thought we would do wood, but again, with the raccoon problem, as well as groundhogs, it's just another critter haven down there. So we're going to do brick facing, but it will be a concrete porch on grade, so it won't rot out. And you can see it in the side view, the brick, when you're walking down the street. And then concrete back to here with a half-inch per slope, or half-inch per foot of slope. We are trying to be careful with our changes so that in 50 years, which goes faster than anyone ever thinks, that the next group isn't dealing with a rotted porch. Since it's so close to grade, it doesn't really work. You know, that's why it rotted off the first time, is it's practically on grade. And those funny little transom windows that you see on the far left, that seems to be what was there. We can't see any indication it was anything besides that. I'm sure that got changed at one point, but DHR has basically said when we took possession of the building, that those types of things, at least in that case, would stay. Because I was like, can we make it look better? And they're like, no. So we're supposed to keep it. So, but you see the doors on the lower level. This store was converted into like a rooming house for maybe 6 individuals, and that's why the porch existed, is that it was a way for the people to have some fresh air off of their rooms. And, you know, yeah, approximately 6 individuals lived there in the later years of the building after the grocery closed. And that's all wood construction. The one thing, again, we're trying to do to be a little more sensible for future is instead of a wood porch, because this is we're going with this, we'd like to use this I don't know, Cretus product, or we'd like you to say, can we use this or the mahogany? And then we could price it out both ways and see, you know, what makes sense. But that one, you know, it looks like a painted porch floor, tongue and groove, and we jokingly say too that this whole porch is our flying buttresses to keep this house from moving, as much as it moves at the moment. So it'll be a good thing to have that porch back on, and also rain protection for all of the old siding will be a wonderful thing to have.
Composite.
Yeah, it's some form of a PVC, similar to an AZEK porch floor.
Have you looked into, and I know it can be a little pricier, I'm not sure what the price on that is, but have you looked into Ipe lumber decking?
I haven't been able to find it from a sustainable source, so we didn't want to buy it from a place where they were taking down. So the mahogany we found is from a sustainable forest where they manage the regrowth, but I haven't been able to find Ipe from that. So this is a recycled product, but basically it looks like wood when it's all painted. So we're looking at either the Sipile, Sipile, if I'm pronouncing that right, or this PVC as an alternative.
Yeah, PVC, I know UV, I mean, it'll last longer than rotted wood, of course, but at Poplar Forest, we're switching to Ipe. We're going through Robinson Lumber Company,
Okay,
Louisiana.
Providence.
Or sorry, Robinson.
Oh, Robinson, sorry, I didn't.
But we're going that route, one, because our decks do need to be wood.
Right.
And it won't be painted. And that's the other thing, is that if you need it to be painted, Ipe doesn't like to be painted. So
Okay.
that's not an option there.
Okay,
Now you could do a wood decking and use linseed oil paint, but then it is a maintenance factor, but it does have a longer lifespan. I don't know a whole lot about
Right.
PVC decking, but I know that PVC and UV light, it
Mhm.
ultimately does just break down. So there is the fact that it's going to be replaced rather than repaired.
Right.
But I don't know too much about that.
Well,
but
we could just simplify it and let's strike this PVC from the presentation and say it'll be the Sipile, which is a form of African mahogany. And we have that on our current house and it's holding up pretty well. So, and you know, wood's was good. So we can go with that. And it's not a humongous amount of it. So that's good. It's, you know, 680 square feet. So spending a little more on that. So it'll last a long time is good. But we will look into some products for finishing it. My husband does a lot of research into that. So I was going to pick his brain to write the spec for that. So.
Lauren, if my fellow commissioners agree, I think we can just jump back to 1 and I
Okay.
make a motion to approve
Oh,
that
Sure.
as submitted. And then we can move back to two and work our way through if they agree.
Second. Any further discussion on number one? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor on number one as presented? Aye. None opposed, say number one passes. I think we can do number two as well, correct? So number two, constructing a new porch as described and explained to us here.
And the only change would be that the porch decking instead of Trex would be this appealing mahogany.
I'll make a motion to approve number two with the exception she just listed.
Okay.
Any further discussion on the porch? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None
Agreed.
opposed, number two passes. Number three, constructing a pole barn.
Yeah, and technically, the good news is it doesn't look like a pole barn. We went to a better quality built by some folks up in Pennsylvania, more like an Amish type of build. So it's a stronger, it's bigger. As Michael confirmed, the posts are 6x6s, not 4x4, so it doesn't look spindly. And it will all have painted trim, standing seam roof, and siding facing 13th Street.
And less the chimney as
Yes,
shown in the
no
submittal.
chimney.
And a teeny tiny bit of it in the historic.
Right.
Do we have a motion on the pavilion?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Sure.
Is the existing roof and main building standing seam?
It is. Well, half, and then as you saw in that photo, part of it's been, but that's what we're going back to, is the standing seam. And then,
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
It's all discussion. Favor on the pavilion.
Aye.
and I do appreciate Eve brought up number 4. We might as well go ahead and get approval so you don't have to have us come back again. So in this one little area, we wanted to do a children's garden because some kids do come there and it's a good safe place. It's like, this is subterranean here. The wall is about this high. Fence, so it's a wonderful place between the church and us for little ones to play and their parents can be doing things here and, you know, not be dangerous. So, but we did want to do this landscaping where we planted it's a coral honeysuckle. It's native, it's non-invasive. And we wanted to grow, this is in our application, in archway. So we're going to ask a metal worker to build these archway pieces so that the archway pieces, so we create a tunnel. So it is a structure. It'll have a little teensy bit of underground concrete, you know, probably 10 inches in diameter, 18 inches deep. And that is going to be on that top part of the street that's right here. And so it just gives a kind of fun area for the kids to walk through. And we desperately need shade. We are 100% sun back there, so it also gives a little bit of shade to the garden design.
Is that all within a historical district?
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah, that's right on Pierce Street. And you do see these types of structures all through. This is obviously a historic photo. It's not from Lynchburg, but you often see vines and grapevines growing in archways. So, it's not a very intrusive thing. Once it's all grown, you won't even see the metal poles. The coral honeysuckles going gangbusters right now. We really need to get these posts in to support it. Yes. When you're on the street.
This building is, we are, along the street, it'll be several feet down.
Yeah, 4 feet down.
Yeah, 4 feet down. So it's not gonna be, you're walking on the sidewalk and this is going up like this. It's actually.
Okay, well, that was,
Yeah.
thanks for pointing that out. I was
Yeah.
just gonna ask you a question. So how much, so you're planning on erecting a concrete wall there?
No, there's a stone wall already.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful stone wall, so we don't have to do anything to it. So the arches will go up and then they'll actually land on the stone wall. So it'll be like a
Nice.
half arch on one side and then it'll be all the way down to the ground on the other. So it's a way to utilize the wall. The wall's kind of underutilized, so it's a nice way to, make it work and add back.
Would-
Yeah, we were going to do all
would
that in
require
brick.
Approval.
Yeah, brick pavers, so that over time, they can be pulled up and re-leveled as needed. So the whole walkway, and what our goal is everywhere you see those red rectangles, is we will have some form of a historic marker there, because we represent at least 9 people in the neighborhood that have done exemplary things for Lynchburg or for the world. Tuskegee Airmen, first African-American licensed architect. Oda Benga is going to be commemorated there, several amazing vice mayor. So those people, the reason for the path is that you can get the whole tour using the garden versus having to come in our building. Because we do see that we mostly put events on to teach about history, but right now we don't see ourselves as having the money to have a fully funded museum. And I will point out that even Point of Honor, who's our client across town, Point of Honor, there's not someone there all day long. Maybe one day a week they give tours. And so we feel like that it's better to announce the tour and have a formal tour. But then we really want people to still get the gist of what's going on with these markers. And Nancy Marion generously gave of her time to design beautiful markers for us, and so they are in our budget to have made for outdoor use.
But that's not part of this.
That's not part of it.
petition, so-
Yeah, because we don't know the material on that yet.
So 4 would just be the archway tunnel and then the brick walkways.
I'll make a motion to approve it, submitted.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Great.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wonderful.
It's unanimous.
Then number
Oh, I
5.
Say aye, but I don't count
Right,
it.
right.
There's autopilot on that one.
He-
Sorry.
He was exhaling. So on 5A, we talked about the existing wooden windows, so we are reglazing, repainting, all of those. Then the front wood siding and existing brick foundation is being repaired, exactly as is. And because it's a corner lot, technically, this is the front. Whenever it's a corner lot, this is a front, this is a front. So I do mean that all of this existing siding gets repaired. And then it's on these back sides that we'd like to use hardy on the back sides. So, but it would still be in the same, exposure. It's approximately a 6-inch exposure and same color. We'd stick with our color scheme, which is like a kind of warm yellow with off-white trim. And the accent trim is a dark, dark, dark teal, even though it looks black. It's a dark teal. So we'll keep with the existing color scheme. And then D is replacing our existing metal roof to match the existing profile. And again, we do have an excellent McCarty Roofing is known for doing a very good job with this. They custom make all the panels on site, which we appreciate. And then there were some beautiful corbels. You see them on the front of the building. And we'd like to, replace the ones that have fallen off in the same, in kind. And then we wanted to roof over the existing hidden gutters because it's already been roofed over. And so, and we were pretty happy, we're just happy to get a roof that doesn't leak. And I brought a gutter sample. Maybe I didn't. I'll bring it up on my computer. We're doing a half-round gutter.
While she's looking that up, Eve or a fellow commissioner, could you remind me, the guidelines on the hardy and some examples of what we've done or haven't done in the past? right? Except here
Synthetic or
recused.
substitute material which effectively replicates the texture and appearance of wood will be considered for siding replacement of horizontal clapboard siding for rear or side elevations.
Oh, good. So yeah, and we are definitely the rear and side.
Yes,
And
thank you.
just because of the nature of the street, there is a very sweet church right here. So when you're going up and down the street, you really don't see the side much, but you definitely see that side.
Sure.
So, and then the half round gutter, I'm sorry, I thought I printed it out. But it's just your traditional half round gutter with the edge. And then we have those lovely little hangers every 4 feet or so. And it is just, more in keeping with the neighborhood than the case style, which does prove anyway. It'll match the roof, so we're kind of going with a terratone because the roof is so dark brown right now. That's what we feel like looks the most like, because when you're approaching the building from a distance, like in that close-up picture, you see a little red. But when you're back like a block away, which is the only place, Buchanan, you can see the roof. You can't see it any other place. But from Buchanan, it just looks like a dark brown roof. So we're going with that dark brown.
The material for the car bills, you can use whatever. Yeah, and you'll match, that's all.
Yeah,
And the downspouts are round?
they'll be round. Yes, yes, sir.
I'm a little hung up on, I'm not totally pulled into this thought, but on the hidden gutters, I think those do have a particular architectural significance. It looks like there is a crown on the cornice, and I'm imagining that would have to be lost to put the gutter in. And I don't know the precedent of these sorts of things, but that does seem like it changes quite a bit, or at least as far as that cornice goes.
So some hidden gutters lead to hidden downspouts in a lot of cases. You'll see in our existing photos, we don't have any hidden downspouts.
Okay.
It appears 40 years ago, surface mounted downspouts were put on. And they're getting pretty old. They're falling off, and so we're tacking them back up. But so in this case, I think where we were coming from is that because the roof had been, basically, they had, for lack of better word, they had smeared over all of the hidden gutters. And they're not working as hidden gutters anymore. And the downspouts are exposed, that we felt like it's better that we, keep with the standing seam roof, and I guess also from a practical standpoint, I'd much rather see the gutter fail than not see the gutter fail, which is what's going on. I mean, now granted, they kind of fixed that over the years by abandoning the hidden gutters, so.
So is it just run over?
Yeah, it runs over.
Flying
Mhm.
over the.
Yeah, nothing's working at the moment.
Gotcha.
It's all running over. And that's why our siding is just disintegrating at a very fast, it's pretty scary how quickly it's gone down.
That have to integrate gutters into it and quite a bit.
We have
So,
to-
yeah, okay, yeah. Like I said, I wasn't.
Yeah, I think had they been like halfway decent, I love the look of them. I don't like the function of them, but I love the look of them. But we can't even rebuild them because they obliterated them. And we did I've been on the roof multiple times and we document the whole roof. And then also we got aerial photos from our drone, just to document so that DHR also doesn't have an issue with it. So.
Yeah, I'm fine with the gutters. To get on a little bit of a soapbox maybe about linseed oil paint. That's probably gonna be the thing I'm known for. I really love it as a product, and
Oh,
Wood
no, it's wonderful.
and Wood
Yeah.
loves linseed oil
Yep.
paint. And so is the plan to strip the paint off or just strip loose paint and then paint over that? Yeah, sorry.
The fellow that did our siding a few years ago, what he did, he scraped like crazy and it was failing so badly that he was able to get down to almost fresh wood. And so the paint seems to be holding really well so we're only going to be basically touch-up painting from here on out because he did such an extensive paint job a few years ago. We did that because, even though we weren't ready to paint it and we're painting really crappy wood, Jane White really wanted it painted and we just wanted her to see something done on our building before she passed away. Yeah, we lost Jane White and we also lost Stuart Coleman, who started this whole thing. He died of cancer our second year. So we're really pleased that we're carrying on what they wanted us to do, but I wish they could see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just encourage considering at least
Yeah.
linseed oil paint, because what it'll do is it'll integrate with the wood and
Yeah,
it works
kind of
with
sucked
it
in. Mhm.
and it repels water and it's repairable. And that's the big thing about, we're not just protecting the image of these buildings, but also the
Right.
function. And so being able to repair is what makes these buildings last centuries. And that would be my only thing against
yeah.
hardy board is it is difficult, if not impossible to repair, you just have to replace. But with that, that's more of a soapbox rather than.
Well, I think what we could definitely add to some of the commentary is that any new wood, like new yellow pine, that we will do the linseed oil on that to prepare it and, but the existing is just going to be,
Yeah, I'd say at any point you get down to raw wood, I
Right.
consider at least priming with
Right.
a linseed oil paint. That way, if future changes, it's much easier to go back and then change the system.
Okay. And then basically, I think that's it. The lower section is just the previous approval, but.
I think we just need a second.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll second that, as is.
Okay. Any further discussion on number 5? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank
All right. Thank you for your thorough
Thank you.
explanation.
Excited we've been people that are helping us with this project. Builders are doing some in-kind work for us that is, so it's getting us on our way.
Mr. Martin, thank you for your patience. Oh, yeah, we've got your samples up here. I think we've gone through the batting order and you're back on deck. Go ahead.
All right, so the reason I'm here, I was here about 14 months ago and got some approval for an extensive remodel on this home here. There was several changes to the outside and it was really my oversight. But the circle there was a window there that was really the only thing that wasn't approved from my plans, and I didn't realize it until I had an inspector came by, city inspector, and there was a little note at the bottom that says, "Do not approve unless that window was not removed." So the reason I'm here is to seek an approval to have that window infilled.
So I'm partial. I live in the neighborhood and I've seen the evolution. Personally, I think it went from somewhat of an eyesore or more than an eyesore to it's in the historic district. It's not really a historic structure, but it's now contributing to the neighborhood where previously that wasn't the case.
That was allow for a bathroom. Is that?
There was another window on the other side that was closed for a bathroom. That was a bedroom, but that was the only place you can put a bed in the bedroom.
Gotcha.
And the windows are very low to the floor. And honestly, it matches, it makes both sides of the house similar.
One of the things he said, he used the word precedent. I use it a lot. We're not supposed to use precedent, right? So this will not be a precedent that will allow other people to close windows. That being said, I'm more than willing to make a motion to, I don't want to cut off the conversation, to accept this as submitted because of just the excellent work on this house. You just said initially non-contributing, but in a historic district, now it contributes because of the work that's been done.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Looks great.
Yeah, thank you.
Much improved.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
That's the end of what I see printed. Eve, anything else we need to discuss? Okay. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.